Cool.
I'm going to sniff it. I'm going to tune in by sniffing the leaf.
Let's tune in. Well, we're recording live, so you start tuning in and recording, and we'll share whatever comes up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the world, it's Brock Bowen here, the Lifetarian, and it's always a pleasure to see who comes on to have a conversation. And, Frank J and I just been talking a little bit off camera before. I just wanted to introduce him to you guys. So Frank J is a friend of a couple of guys you've already seen before, close friends with JP Sears, really tight with Daniel Eisenman and Deanna Eisenman. And, we're just talking about it. It feels like we've got this whole soul tribe going on, this thing where we just keep finding each other on the planet. And you and I haven't had the opportunity to connect in the flesh yet, but I'm sure it won't be long. So it's good, good to have you here today. I'm in Cairns. Where are you today?
Thanks, Brock. I'm in Glastonbury, UK. So it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. And I really love that you mentioned, I'm sure we'll meet each other in human form someday, because it seems like it is inevitable for brothers and sisters on this path to meet eventually.
I'd said it before when we started chatting before. I got this theory like dolphin theory, which is essentially dolphins, they don't have to think about where each other is. They just find each other. And the indigenous, our elders, when we talk about tribe, I often think about the elders that went before us, of the indigenous tribes. They just knew. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have Facebook. They just tuned in somehow, and they knew where to find each other. And I know you've been on a bit of a journey of self-discovery and just choosing to be in the flow and choosing to be of the greatest contribution you can be. So tell me a bit more about your adventures. Where did it all start?
Wow.
Yeah,
it's funny being asked the questions, because I'm usually the one asking the questions. And when people are like, oh wow, that's an interesting question, I got to think about that now. I'm experiencing the other end of that. Well, it all really started in a nutshell growing up at the Jersey Shore in the United States. I'm not quite sure if you're familiar with the place, but let's just say it's very, very let's say externally superficial in most places. And so growing up, I was like fighting for my identity, if you will. But my father left when I was a baby, and he soon got into drugs and heroin and in and out of jail. And I stopped seeing him when I was around 10. And my mother had to work 2 to 3 jobs to take care of 3 kids. I have 2 older sisters, and I was the youngest. So I had a household of 3 women. And my mom had a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. I still don't quite understand what she went through. However, growing up, as much as we loved each other, I'm sure anyone can understand that when someone's under complete stress, they're able on how to handle that, and they're just in complete survival mode, they tend to take it out. Like, they'll break eventually and take it out in the ones that they love. And I'm not sure if you've ever seen somebody in a really angry rage, and you look at them and you see their eyes change, and you sort of feel like this possession of darkness, and it was scary. And growing up, it was a violent experience. Like I said, there was a lot of love there, but it was just a household full of stress and problems with money and a lot of other things. And so anyway, so as I got older, that all resulted in me being angry and confused and depressed. And I imagine most kids, regardless of where they grew up or how they grew up, it's kind of confusing. Like, who are we? What are we doing in this world? Why do I fit in with this crew and not that crew? It's just a confusing place being a teenager in itself. And then for me, it's like, I was like super angry. I had these emotional issues. And although I always had friends, like I was like a quote unquote popular kid, but I don't know if that really helped much, that I had to fit in with this identity, but anyway, fast forward, I was getting in trouble, in and out of, I almost went to jail, was doing drugs, fighting. What kept me on the path somewhat was football and American football and sports. But at 18 years old, I started to kind of have this sort of interesting awareness towards my last year of high school. I started seeing things quite different and asking new questions. My friends actually were making fun of me. And when high school ended, all of my quote unquote friends, I was already feeling distant from them. They all moved and went to college, and I stayed at home. And I got a job in a nursing home. And in the nursing home, I experienced people on their deathbed regretting their life. Literally, I would say, what would you do if you were young again? They would said, I would travel the world. I would have more fun. I would forgive the ones that I care about. And I've never told them how much I appreciate them. There was about 70 to 80% of people that were regretting their life on their deathbed. And the other 20%, like let's say the other 15%, just random statistics, were still complaining about family problems, still complaining about who was right, who was wrong, like blaming the nurses. Like I was, and I remember sitting there, I'm like, wait a second, no one in my family is happy. I don't know anyone in my life that is a positive role model. And here's these people on their deathbed, literally regretting their life, miserable. I was like, I don't know anyone that's genuinely happy. And I remember thinking to myself, if I don't take personal responsibility for my life, nothing's going to change. And, you know, and it was a really intense experience. I was feeling depression and anxiety. And basically I started the quest from there. I started to look within and seek. And I found, and I'm still finding today. So yeah, that's kind of what happened.
I was just always fascinated by how many of us have to go away from these different things. I had an easy childhood growing up, to be honest. You know, I hear a lot of my friends, it was tough, you know, when I hear about yours, and it's so nice when you can contemplate your childhood and have gratitude for it. But it's sometimes those things can still tweak us a little bit. You know, those things. I've heard about people that are 50 and 60. Their parents have been dead for 20 years. And they're still worried about making a decision to leave their current life partner because they're worried about what their parents will think. And it's weird how, you know, as I contemplate going in this chapter, we're talking about it. I haven't announced this officially yet, but ladies and gentlemen, the Lifetarian family are about to have a little bubba May 5th. And we're just talking about that before because it's interesting as we contemplate this whole thing. Because essentially we have the ability to program these kids or not program or deprogram or whatever. We're going to have a big influence on the next generation by what we do in this time. And that's essentially what I've been looking at in my lifetime is so many times we're looking at the next week. A lot of people live in paycheck to paycheck. All they're doing is think about the next week, next 7 days or the next month. And I'm starting to contemplate long-term vision. That time in Europe, and I know you were over there recently too, when you go to Europe, you start to see projects that are an idea is conceived and then 1,000 years later it's fruit to bed, which is a big time vision. And I'm just curious some of the things, like when you contemplate your vision now and your impact you want to have on the world, what are some of the things that are coming through? What are some of the things you've been up to recently?
Well, there was a few things that came up for me while you were sharing that, which is cool because I love hearing the contrast that we all grow up in, meaning the contrast, like different life experiences. And what I realized, I remember working in the outpatient physical therapy around 18, 19 years old after the nursing home. And there was a man that got hit by a truck and then got like his house robbed and then got like abandoned from his family, like all the worst things that could possibly happen, right? And the guy was like, I just felt his energy. Like he was just like miserable, but still had a great attitude. You know, he was a good guy. His name was Anthony. But I felt his energy. Like he was just like in horror in a way. And then I remember like being in the presence of like my high school or like teenager friends, and when they like lose their cell phone, they're in the complete horror and worry. And I was like, wait a second, they feel the same way as this man. So I was realizing like, wait a second. So pain has to be relative to the individual. You know, it doesn't matter where you grow up. It doesn't matter how you grow up. It's just like, hey, listen, how we internalize life, you know, just because some for like a dictatorship, for example, they control the people by force. Okay. But then America, they control it by manipulation. It's still control. You see? So we all have a relative life experience and we're all here learning and experiencing. So that's how I like to look at life. And regardless, if we can come along this path in the least amount of pain, the most amount of joy, amazing. But I don't regret anything because I sculpted me. You know, the pain tends to be that spark that can just take you to the next level as well. So on the other hand, how I'm looking at life now, in the beginning, when I was pushing, it was like such a climb for me. It was almost as if like I was swimming in a lake, okay? And Swamp Thing came and grabbed my leg and was dragging me down, right? And I was like, I had to, like, how bad would you want to get out of that freaking Swamp Thing's grip. I was climbing and fighting, and in the beginning, that's what it was. And I had this vision to be a millionaire, to impact 1 million people, and to do all these things, and that kind of was the initial spark to get me going. But now, as I'm out of the struggle and I'm out of the pain, and like I'm smoothed out, my life is absolutely beautiful now. I'm free of the restriction for the most part, and I'm like, you know what? I am who I am, and I own it. Like my vision, I have my intentions and my clarity, and I made a soul commitment at 18, 19 years old that I'm going to be moving along this path and expressing this creativity to its highest possibility into my last day. And so I'm getting less and less concerned about goals, and I'm getting more and more focused on my character in the moment and living each moment and moving forward with patience. And so I'm getting less rigid, less visioned, and more now. And that's kind of where I'm at.
It's a fun contemplation because I did it too. Some of my first forays into the personal development thing was goal setting. I got into network marketing years ago, and my dad invited me along to an event, and he was selling these water systems and this green powder. This was back when I was smoking it up every night and all the different things. Dad would come home and he'd bring these green powders. So I'd mix it up with the alkaline water, and I'd have the green powder, and it was the best thing.
Nice.
And I got into it. I was like, wow, I actually feel a bit better. And I started getting excited about health food. And Dad goes, it's going to cost you $50, but I've got this event called Humans Being More. Do you want to come to it? And my first experience of personal development was actually where we all went around in a circle, and we stood man to man, woman to woman, person to person, human to human. And we actually just looked into one another's eyes. I've never really done that before, to be honest. You know, I looked at that or made out with
intimate
people, but yeah, it's intimate. And I never really experienced that. And then I had it with my own father, which was just super dope. It was such a cool experience because we're both crying, looking at each other. And
amazing.
Because I remember going there, and I was thinking I was the coolest kid in school. I was about, 26 years young, doing all the different things, and partying like a gangster, dressing up like a gangster, trying to project that I was cool, but crumbling on the inside. And when I saw my dad, and yeah, just when I looked at my dad in his eyes, I was like, this guy is just like me, this human being opposite.
Yes.
And
you see yourself. You see yourself. When you look at someone's eyes that intimately and you actually just let down your guard, you see yourself in the soul. You're like, wait a second, I know this person. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've walked around this earth and looked into a homeless person's eyes and like, wow, I know that person. Or I looked at some random person on the street and I'm like, I feel like I know them. And you feel like you know more and more. It's like we're all so connected. You know? We're all here, man. We're all, no matter who you are, where you come from, we're here. We're humans. We all have no freaking idea what the heck we're doing. We're all creating these ideas, you know, just to keep us safe, you know, keep going. Pardon me for the background noise. It seems like my neighbor's doing something with the lawn.
Always.
So I'll just put you on mute when you're talking.
It doesn't matter. The noise is constructive to it. It's like me. I'm getting super hot in this room in the tropics. It's all perfect, man. No biggie.
Okay, cool.
So the cool thing about it is a lot of people watching this sort of stuff, they're going to look at all of us and they're going to go, these guys have got goals. These guys have got dreams, aspirations. And, you know, traditionally we would get out the piece of paper and write down really clear, methodical goals. But we'll talk about it before a bit about tuning in. Because a lot of people sit there, and I think when I think about billionaires, for instance, you don't get to be a billionaire by goal setting. You might be a millionaire, or you might hit $20 million, maybe $100 million. But if you do traditional goal setting, you're going to hit it. If you write down the things you want, the reality is you write down your goals, you focus on it, it's going to happen. It just tends to be what happens. You know, those things work. But I also found it was like a limited program, which I had to contemplate and go and find my own personal philosophy, because I go along to those events. I go along to those events where you get there and it's like, make your move, say yes, yes, make your move, say yes, yes. And everyone's doing it. You can guess who all those ones were. I went along to all those things. I loved it. I was good at it. I felt like I was part of a community, but it was just the same rigid like force, and it just didn't feel aligned.
Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people looking from an outward perspective, you know, I just watched a video of you before. In the last year, you've done 8 retreats, live events. You build an online website. You're doing all these things. So you're living in that moment. So just for people that are tuning in right now and they're contemplating, well, how is Frank J creating this lifestyle and these things? What's showing up in your world? How are you paying attention to those things?
I didn't hear your question clearly. Hey, brother, can you just repeat the question?
Yeah. Have you got clear reception? Can you hear me? Is it cutting out?
Now it seems a bit clear.
Let me test out. It might be cutting out here. I'll just run outside here for a second.
Okay.
I want to have crystal clear reception.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I get you clearly.
Okay, cool. So I think you and I have made some adjustments, and we'll make this happen. So,
for sure.
Your question, can you just repeat it once more so I can understand correctly?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people, like we've gone through that world of goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I imagine you have. You've done it before, right? You've gone along to
seminar. Yeah, definitely.
You write down your goals, your everything. And now the way you described in your personal philosophy is it's more of a getting connected to yourself. Finding the essence of who you are. And then, there's still things that you're doing. I was just saying a moment ago, in the last 12 months, you've done about 8 retreats. You've done 5 events. I've seen you pop up all over the planet. And I want to connect to what your personal philosophy is. I'll share a bit about how I've been contemplating it and how it's shown up for me. But I'm curious to hear, as you go through your day-to-day, as you go through the experience, as you tune in, you're still creating a website. You're still putting on events, still doing retreats, but it's different. And it's an intangible thing, but I want to talk to it too because it's what I've experienced, but I want to know your experience inside of it all because for some people right now, they're like, all I need is just some more leads for my business.
And more money and more leads and more this and more that. It's just another function of the ego, So I totally understand because I've been there, and I definitely do not want to say one thing is better than the other. In the Tao Te Ching, it says there's a time for everything. So there's a time to be exhausted. There's a time for push. But a lot in the personal development industry is talking about push. And so it's the same type of, you see this often where someone gets out of a restriction and they go into another restriction. So they get out of one religion and then they go into spirituality, right? They get out of one group and then they go into the other group and they do the same thing. They defend the other group. And so it's like this need, this ego's need to feel safe and secure and to reach goal. And it's just it's a patriarchal mindset, how we've been brought up. So I feel like the transcendence of it all, where I feel people are genuinely good, and I feel like they genuinely want to find true happiness, but we're just really confused. And like I said, there's a time for push. And for me, I had to push really hard to get to a place where I can finally start pulling. But the last year, I did probably the less work. I was the most happy, most in balance, and I got the most results. Where the 4 years before that, I was struggling with no results. And so you're right. I do believe that you need to have a personal philosophy. And I would be lying to say it was all personal development because it's not. I have felt like there's been a guiding force with me this whole time. It was this trust, this knowing inside of myself. And when I tune into that, I feel like I'm carried. I almost feel like my life is carried. I feel like I have changed my life by surrendering and listening more so than creating. I have surrendered to an inkling inside of myself that said there was something more. There was more meaning to what I have been brought up into. And if I follow that inkling, then it would make sense. And so I continued to courageously and boldly follow that truth. And as I did that and I surrendered and died again and again, I died to the old story. And I had to die and to be reborn plenty of times. And it's scary. And now I'm in a place in my life where I start to realize, I'm really starting to understand that, hey, listen, like, what the heck is the point of this all? I feel like the emotional involvement with this collective consciousness, like the global societal consciousness, is what's going to keep people enslaved, no matter where you are, what position you have. So whether you're just starting or whether you're a millionaire, if you're emotionally involved in the politics, if you're emotionally involved in the money, because it's so funny, as I started making a little bit more money, I started to see how, like, my bank account, like, I was making money, I was spending more money too. So I was going up and I was going down. It was going up and it was going down. I saw all these numbers in my bank account go up and down, and I was getting an emotional response, like, well, whether I'm secure or less secure, depending on how much money I had in my bank account. And I realized, wait a second, these numbers on the screen don't have any emotions. They care less what I feel like. I'm like, this is all an illusion.
Yeah.
I'm like, and whether I have $100 in my bank account or thousands of dollars in my bank account, like, it is what it is. I'm here. I'm moving forward. I'm guided. I'm taken care of. I have a personal philosophy that we all have a guiding force inside of us. And I believe we all have a destiny much larger than the destiny that we've been born into. And I believe when we tune into that, and I think the key word is surrender, really. Surrender to your cosmic fate and trust and to be brave. And as you do that again and again, you're going to have to die. And it's really dying to the ego, dying to the old part of you. And I do think, as much as I love tribes, and much as I have a company, a co-founder of a company called International Tribe Design, I believe in individuality. I believe that if you stay in a tribe for too long, then you're going to get influenced by the tribe. You know, and that's just normal. It's just a human tendency. So I think you need to kind of get out of the tribe to discover who you are, you know, without the tribe. Who are you? What do you want? Because the need to belong and to be accepted by other humans is keeping people from their abundant destiny.
I feel it, man. And I have that contemplation too when I look at my own life, where, you know, when you get the group think, it's what countries do. Right now we go to America. God bless America, the greatest country in the world. So patriotic. And then you go to another country, it's a completely different philosophy. You come to Australia and we've got all these different ideals. And that's one of the things I love about moving around so much, is that we can kind of break out of it, but we're still there with these different things. But ultimately, I've been doing that dance where I'll be part of a group, learn everything that I can. And I notice one people, it's like, I found my tribe. I'm good. I'm safe. And I want to always in life.
Never safe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I always want to go where I don't necessarily feel safe. I want to have that knowing within myself always. You know, that adventure you just saw me on around the world, that 4-month trip. The greatest love story ever told. I got guidance from the universe. We won competitions called the greatest love story ever told. Carla Love, and all these things. And it's just one of the things one of my friends shared with me a while ago. His philosophy was float. And I heard you use that word transcendence before. And his word is fulfilling love, oneness, awareness, transcending. And he was a gentleman that showed up in my life many years ago where I was going through some challenging times, you know, where I was trying to get out of the system. I was trying to get out of being in control, and I was trying to do all these different things, and it just kept spiraling in what seemed to be downward. Super grateful for it all now. It really helped me. But at the time, these different people that felt like angels just kept showing up in my life at my house.
Likewise, brother.
And it feels cool. And his principle was float, fulfilling love, oneness, awareness, transcending. And he was younger than when I met him 8 years ago.
Beautiful.
And I started calling my philosophy magic carpet. And that what I like to play with is then all of a sudden, whether it's a 80-year-old person or a 10-year-old, people can start to contemplate that, and it kind of gives them an insight. But I'm also learning how to share a personal philosophy without implanting in other people, so ultimately they can,
without infringing, right?
Yeah, always in that. We're
always being infringed upon. Right, you walk down the street and someone's handing you a brochure to their religion or to the fundraiser. Like, people are trying to push their philosophies on you, and it's like, whoa, wait a second. Like, we've been infringed upon since the day we've been born here. You know what I really acknowledge and respect about you is that, hey, you're going into these tribes, you're learning the knowledge and the wisdom and the energy. You get the energy, and then you go into another tribe, and you go into another tribe, and you create your own philosophy. I truly believe if we're going to have any freedom in our life, we need to create our own philosophy. Whatever religion, your religion could be a part of your own philosophy, but you need to personalize it. You need to have a personal philosophy of your own on how you conduct your life. You get ideas from me, you get ideas from you can get ideas from all these other teachers. But essentially, we need to become self-directed. And self-directed people are really like under the God, under heaven, then you know, God directed. But I believe, let's use the word self as the God or the wisdom within you. Okay, so God directed, the God, a part of you, not the ego part of you, but the deeper part of you. Let's say that's yourself, and so that must direct our lives, unless we'll find ourselves adrift. It's a very cool life experience. You know, we're challenged with so many things. And it's so manipulative, and it's so interesting, and really it's a game within ourselves, because I'm starting to realize that the most significant fundamental thing that I must be aware of, I'm starting to do 20% action. So 20%, only it. 20%, I'm the 1 to 2 or 3 things that I'm focused on. That's it.
Yeah, wow.
If there's if there's anything else, then I schedule it or I put it on for later, because I'm going to keep myself as clear as possible and to get the things that are most important done. 80%, I'm keeping myself coherent. Okay, so scientifically, it's called coherent. So my brain waves and my heart waves are coherent, right? Or I'm in balance. So 80% self-care, honoring, balance, love, connection, tuning in, because that is the return on investment. Because guess what? I believe that everything, my personal philosophy is that our life is an exact replica of our inner character. And our character is developed from our innermost thoughts and feelings. And all of life is coming at us. In any given moment, there's 1,001 possibilities. And it's coming at you at what you are. Now, what you are on a deep level is not just your mind. It's definitely not the mind. It's definitely not the body. And it's definitely not the emotions. How you know you're not those 3 things is because they can be manipulated externally without your consent. Okay? Your thoughts can be manipulated. How do you know your thoughts are your thoughts?
Yeah.
You know, your emotions can be influenced. That's what movies do, you know? And your body can totally be influenced as well. If you're sitting down slouching for long enough, you're going to start to feel very lousy and tired. If you're standing up and you're moving your body, you can biochemically change your whole, chemical releases in your body. So they can be manipulated. What I believe is that we're inner awareness. I believe that's a feeling. And that feeling is made up by the electromagnetic force field around our body. Now, the oscillation of the brainwaves has its own force field, but the heart has been shown as well to have its own intelligence and force field as well, that feels things that the mind can't see and understands things that the mind can't explain. And so that energy that's around us that can be scientifically measured, okay, is what we are. That's the thumbprint of our human, okay? And it's influenced by our thoughts, emotions, and physiology. And our nervous system can get conditioned to stay at a certain frequency, if you will. So I'm trying to think like, hey, wait a second. Why am I out here hitting my head up against the wall trying to take action when actually everything in life, if you look at physics, is an energy. Plants, animals, emotions, situations, geographical locations, all has a certain energy. So wouldn't it make sense for me to be as balanced and as powerful as possible, energetic-wise?
Yeah.
If I want to create the best life that I can and to serve my people, to become empowered, because that's the only way we can actually serve, in my opinion.
I like it. Because that balanced and powerful, say you contemplate that, you know, when you talk about heart math, I think that's what you're talking about, the heart field. Are you just connecting to the feeling of how you feel within yourself? Or have you started to do it where, you know, you're seeing guys like Joe Dispenza do it now, where he's actually measuring people. He'll put a group of people together, everyone starts blessing one another, which is what some of the tribes on the planet have traditionally done. And they've actually been very prosperous and abundant by doing that daily. Have you actually done it with your heart, done the heart math yet? So you've actually tracked it as well?
I haven't tracked anything measurably, but I have been practicing heart meditations. I believe the heart is the gateway to the spirit world.
Tell me more about that.
Heart meditations, because I believe everything is stored inside the heart. So all the joyous emotions, the high positive states are felt in the chest, right? You pull the baby to your heart. You feel gratitude in your heart. Your heart feels warm when you're in love. Also, when you're in pain, when you're in agony, when you're in guilt, you feel that in the heart too. So heart, I feel, has a memory. And for years, I've been doing this. Maybe I wasn't able to language it like I can now, but I would always put myself in an altered state of consciousness by changing my breathing pattern, by manipulating my breathing pattern, and I would get into an altered state. Maybe in like I think what they call it is an alpha brainwave. So the normal brainwave is beta. And that's the normal activity brainwave, okay? Then the next, like a light meditation, is called alpha, okay? And then it goes into theta, and then it goes into delta, which is deep sleep. So alpha is like a light meditation, where you're kind of in an altered state. I would do that, and then what I would do is breathe through my heart. And then I would put my hands on my head and connect my heart through my mind and visualization of, you know, imagining there's a white light in my heart, and put it on the back of my head like this with emotions. The faculty in the brain that is controlled the emotion, the reptilian brain back here. And then I would go to the left part of my brain, and then the prefrontal cortex, and then the right brain, and I would just sync them. Now, I was just doing it in my own imagination, you know, whether it's scientifically proven or not. But it's just simply what I found is that where our concentration is, that's where our power is. So whatever we're concentrating on is what life is for us, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing would be real if we're not concentrating upon it. I feel like there's a very significant thing when you're meditating, altering your breathing pattern, and you're concentrating upon your heart, breathing through your heart. As you do that, you start to heal it. You start to heal it. You start to feel, and you start to get this very inkling, sort of intuitive ability of feeling through your heart. So someone asked me, Frank J, what do you consider a heart-centered leader? And I would say, well, a heart-centered human would be, for me, how I look at it is that every time I make a decision, I visualize or see the decision, and then I feel my heart. I check in with my heart. Does it hurt? How does it feel? Does it feel in flow? My heart will tell me. My brain like, oh, well, this car is really nice. You know, this car is really nice. It's red and shiny and looks really nice on the outside, but my heart knows it's not a good deal.
Yeah.
Flashy things, right? We can see that in marketing. So I would always check in with my heart. How does this feel? And I would feel it. And your heart will tell you things when you start to develop this ability. And so my meditation, I walk throughout the day and I breathe in 4 seconds and breathe out 6 slow seconds. And you do it in a smooth rhythm. So, okay, you want to have a fixed pattern. So 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, smooth rhythm. And you concentrate on the heart, breathing through the heart. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to add stillness or movement, that can add the effect of your meditation. Mm-hmm. And or you can visualize a white light expanding and contracting inside of your heart. Mm-hmm. And those types of heart meditations tend to really put me in a deep, powerful state and really benefit my life.
I love it. The simple little things that we're doing over time and space. I look at different things. You notice me, I'll just look at you and like notice different things. I'll pay more attention. One of the indigenous elders a while ago, he said to me, just pay attention. That thing, you know, like you get that inkling or intuition. A lot of people get it, but people don't act on it. And I often say to people, contemplate that, your own personal philosophy, but also pay attention. What's going on inside you and that knowing or that inkling. So for you, how has it been? You talked about being bold before. How has it been? Sometimes it doesn't even feel bold anymore. It's probably the way that someone else might describe your life. Whereas for you, it just feels like you got to go where you're going to go. Like say San Diego. You just know, right? You got plan, your family, your friends are there. You're going to love it. But for those people that right now, they're getting the intuition, they're getting the hunch, they're getting the feeling, but they're not acting on it.
Well, I want to give some insight that, hey, even when I booked my ticket, I was feeling elevated, or in other words, anxious feelings. But I'm not afraid of feeling anxious. And anxious, see, there's subtleties. That's the process. You got to understand the subtleties, because just because your body's anxious doesn't mean it's a bad decision. Right? And so that's the thing, you know, because people get scared. They get scared because their body starts to react. But the body starts to react. It could be from the mind being afraid. So just because the mind's afraid, don't be afraid of being afraid. So you got to understand the subtleties in your body, the distinction between what feels right and what doesn't feel right. Sometimes my mind is so racing that it's interesting. I'm not sure if you're familiar with dowsing, but it's basically psychics use it to like douse where the oil is or where the gold is. So or like a pendulum is dowsing. Yeah.
Oh,
so
this one
a pendulum.
Yeah. Okay.
A pendulum, when it goes in a circle, it's a yes, or when it goes side to side, it's a no. Sometimes what I do is my mind is so cluttered, I'll get into like a alpha state and like an altered state, breathing through my heart, of course. Like if you just breathe through your heart three sets, you'll feel it. Yeah. You want to try it?
Yeah, let's do it now. Everyone else, you got to do it with us as well. Everyone watching.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. You can just rub your hands like this. You can put your left hand on your heart. Now, your heart's actually in the center of your chest. Okay, your right hand right over. And you're going to breathe in through your nose for 4 slow seconds, okay? Expanding through your chest. You're actually going to breathe through the heart. Good. And now breathe out for 6.
Out 5. Your mouth or out your nose? Any preference?
It doesn't matter, but you can do it out your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. And breathe back in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and release for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now breathe in for 1, 2. Now I want you to visualize a white light in your heart, expanding and contracting, and now release for 6, 5, 4. Feeling the heart pulsating through your body. Good. Breathe in. That's it. Good. And now release. Good. Feeling your heart thumping. Bum, 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 bum. Good. And now breathe in. And let go. That's good. Good. You can open up your eyes. Do you feel a little subtle difference?
Just a little bit floatier.
A little bit what?
Floatier, like a little bit lighter.
Floatier. Yeah. That little subtle difference, from my understanding, is the difference between incoherent and coherent. That subtle shift. That's why I've sort of trained myself to concentrate on my heart throughout the day and breathe through it. So what was I just talking about before that?
Talking about your heart, but also talking about how to trust that inkling or your intuition.
Oh, so anyway, sometimes I go into a meditative state, concentrate on my heart, and then I'll ask a question like, should I stay here? And my body starts to rock back and forth, side to side. No. Did I go to San Diego? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I trust it. So the thing is, you're never going to know. You're never really going to know. And you drive yourself crazy trying to think of it all. So you just have to trust. I think this journey is a matter of developing trust and making a soul commitment. When you start to operate from another intelligence other than your intellect, then you start to say, hey, my power, my strength is in surrendering and trusting. The universe is abundant, therefore I feel abundant. All my needs are met. Let's go. Ding, ding. Let me put this universal stuff to the test. You know, let me see how God really loves me. You know, if like you believe in God, let me see if God really, let me see what this faith idea is. Let me see if it works. Because faith isn't just like praying by the bed saying, I hope this happens. No, let's put faith to test. Let's see if the word of God is real. Ding, ding, bing, bing. Let's go. Boom. I'm going for it, God. Be with me. Done. That's it. I'm here. I'm going. I trust. That's how I operate, and my life has changed dramatically. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and hope and wish. Like, you're with me or you're not with me because I'm going this way.
I've become like that with people in my life now too. You remember that thing?
Go ahead.
I've become like that with my life now too. Like, say, we're either going, we're all in, or we're not.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
If someone says maybe to me, I'm like, you don't get to say maybe to me anymore. You don't get to. Yeah. You're either, yes, I'll be there, or no, I won't. No one gets to say maybe to me. I don't want any of that incoherence in my life anymore. I just want
That's right. That's it. And it's the same thing with our own mind. See that? That's the crow. It's been following me for 6 days. It means death and transformation. So I'm embracing another death inside of me. That's the old story. But anyway, that same thing is with the ego. It's with the mind. The mind will bitch. You know, oh, don't get up. Stay comfortable. It's cold outside. Sleep in today. Shut up. We're getting up, going. Crawl down the stairs at 4 a.m, get a cold shower in, and go for a run. Like, shut up and sit down. To the ego. We're going. You like it or not, I'm doing it. That's how I'm starting to talk to my mind now. I'm like, shut up and sit down. I'm taking this cold shower. You like it or not? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to take this bullshit. And that's what it means, like, with controlling your life. It isn't like controlling, because I'm definitely not in control in the larger aspect. I'm very, very guided. But what I am in control of is being coherent, being aligned, being tuned in so the God force can work through me. So that's my control, and that's how I look at control. See, there's a lot of context, and that's what stinks about personal development, because you have to sort of develop a certain level of awareness to realize that everything is in context. Yeah, like you can say one piece of information, it can mean 17 different things.
It can be tricky for some people too. I heard someone say it as well. There's a different level of truth for each level of consciousness, and as we spiral through, as you see that even on the wealth spectrum, I know some of the decisions I used to make when my business was here, then as it grows, all of a sudden the decisions that I had to make, they don't exist anymore. It's a different reality.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's a different game. It's a different dimension, one can say.
Talk about that. Dimensions. Have you contemplated those a little bit?
I believe, listen, I don't have enough experience with the spirit world as far as like I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had pretty interesting experiences with tapping into another intelligence. But I look at everything that's happening now, and it's here. So you walk down a city street and there's thousands of different people living in different dimensions. Some people are living in a living hell in their own mind, suffering. Okay, right there, human suffering. That's hell. Look at it. That's what the Bible talked about, in my opinion, right there. And then you walk right down the street and there's someone living in absolute bliss, heaven. Boom, total different energy frequency. They won't even run into each other. They won't even see each other. They're in a different dimension. You know, every single subtlety inside our own being, when we're feeling sad, that's a different dimension. That's a whole different mental state. That whole different energy pattern. Okay, so we're all living in a different frequency of consciousness, which is dimensions, and we can alter. We can go up and down in all these different dimensions, you know, and we can interact, and it's all coexisting right here, right now. That's how I look at it. And so that's why like when it's so funny, because as you travel the world, I imagine you know this, that you see different cultures, and it's funny how the word is called culture. And they have all these belief systems about themselves, about life, about God, about money. And then you go to a different part of the world and they believe something totally different. You know, the same thing with like sexuality. Like, it's so vast and so controversial. And it's like, wait a second, these people will die for their truth. And so will these people. And they're saying it's total opposite. So who's right here? And as like an observer, you're like, oh, well, they believe that their little world is all there is. They may see on TV that, oh, wait, yeah, these other people are living this way and this way, but it's not real for them. It's almost like a fantasy in their dream. Like, oh, yeah, it's almost like a movie. It's not real. What's real is what they see, feel, and believe and act upon every single day. And that's what they actually believe is life. It's sad because it's not. It's only a piece of life. But that's the thing, because if you're in that little world, that's what you think, that's all there is to you. But it's not the truth. And if you want to get out of it, you can get out of it, but you're going to have to go again. You have to die, just like the crow is telling us. You're going to have to die, the raven. And you're going to have to be reborn into a whole nother life experience and challenge your old beliefs.
It definitely feels like that happens over and over again. You know, I haven't shared it, but I haven't shared this much publicly, but I had a business in Sydney, and at the completion of that, my heart was just saying to me, all I could hear every day was my heart just saying to me, this is not your path anymore. It's just so intentional. And logically, that business, we're about to have another $1 million invested into it, which was kind of exciting from a business perspective. And then all of a sudden, the whole heart was like, this is not your path anymore, brother.
Yeah, man.
And I meditated on it, and I did the work, and I spoke to my business partner. I said, I'm going to give you 6 months. We've built up a team, you and I, 4 staff, all these different things. Our vision is to turn this into an empire. And all of a sudden the vision shifted, the ideas changed, and I couldn't back out of it. I couldn't change my state, that personal development thing. I couldn't change my thoughts around it. I couldn't do anything else. And that's what I always want to be guided by, that knowing, all that depth. And it's been the best decision ever. Super grateful for it. But yeah, I always like to get back to that. So it's interesting, that thing where it's like that part of me died. But
congratulations.
Still had the best time ever. Met so many amazing people during that chapter of my life.
Of course. It's an evolutionary path. That's how you look at life. You know, there's all these different evolutionary paths. You go here, you have this relationship, you're with this tribe of people, and that's, you know death is near. And that's how we know we're blessed. Death is always near. As soon as we can grasp that this life is temporary, and the faster your consciousness is moving, the faster your life is going to move. The more experiences you're going to have. You know, so you're going, you're flowing, you're in a fast moving world, a fast moving reality. You know, you're not in sluggish, slow town in downtown Alabama, you know, where all you believe is that, you know, some people are still living that evolutionary path. They're still living there, and that's okay. I don't think there's right or wrong. I just think that we're all have a different inkling. We all have a different destiny, and that's okay. There's not right or wrong. I think we're here to experience, we're here to evolve. And as you become more and more conscious, you can alter that, and you can follow it to its highest realms, and you can grow and experience and go, you know, and it's fun. And then you become less attached to life chapters. You're less attached, and you realize that, hey, winds of change are coming. I love you. This was beautiful. You hug tight. You taste every bite of food. You look at every leaf, every little dent and everything around you. You embrace it fully, and you say, "Ding, ding, let's go, next journey."
Yeah,
Here we are, because it's a matter of trusting,
mm-hmm.
and it's beautiful. Change is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it is.
I love it. The whole transformation thing. Just going through, I look at it too, like with yourself and with Daniel and with a few of us that do these different transformations. If you look closely at our pictures, we actually look different.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In a short amount of time. Have you been feeling that too? Like, it's like almost like last month, you're like a different human.
Yep.
Like today, it's like changing so quick. You go through these initiations, we're always in a continual process of transformation.
I've seen it too where, people talking about it. I haven't experienced this out of my eyes, but people have experienced me in multiple places at the same time. Like, you were definitely there. And this is what I was being curious about with dimensions, because people talk about the ability to put your hand out and the medicine that's required is there for you. People talk about these things. I've had it where I've walked away from a table, came back, and a book was on the table and no one put it there. I've had it where books are leaning out at me as I go through the bookstore and all these different serendipitous things, but I don't think they're weird. And I think the more that we actually speak of them, then it actually gives other people permission to. Yeah.
That's right. And you're paying attention. You're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's when spirit will come to speak to you, because I think it's very difficult for people to understand what we're talking about if they're in the intellect, because they're trying to figure it out. And of course, go read all the books so you get a general knowledge, but you're going to have to get past the concept. You're going to have a personal experience for yourself to understand what we're actually saying here. But yes, that's how spirit speaks to you in these little subtle ways. Sometimes I find myself like walking down the street totally spaced, like confused, like don't know what I'm doing, don't know where I'm at. I feel like I can't even spell my own name, like I'm just so spaced out. And then all of a sudden, like I'm sitting there in this daze, and then somebody walks in, and I get this feeling of purpose. And we have this conversation. They guide me to a piece of information and knowledge and insight. The other day, I transformed in a matter of a weekend. Like it was crazy, impacted my soul. I mean, I woke up one morning and all of a sudden my life was never the same, just last weekend.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, man, when you have experiences like that.
I've heard of people talking about that too. I know Juvan, one of our mutual friends, he's been talking about that too, where he's just super like, I'll talk about my personal experience rather than other people's. For me, it's like I almost have no energy, or I'm confused, or something goes on. And all of a sudden it's like, bing, it shifts. When I sold that business in Sydney, I came up to Cairns, and Christy worked and studied. And I have a bit of an art where if I require something, I'll just create it. So I would go and just contemplate life and pay attention. I'd spend 8 to 12 hours a day often in nature. I'd ride around on my bicycle, and I didn't really have anything solid, any plans, anything else other than I'm going for a bike ride. I'd start and I'd wake up in the morning. And what am I going to do today? What would I love to do today? And I'd get on my bicycle. And if I required money, it would seem that I could create it. I could make a $10,000 or $15,000 a week. But when I would judge myself, when I would try to fit into everyone else's reality, I couldn't make a cent. I felt stupid. And what was funny about it, because people living in the linear reality, people started to think that I was a drug dealer. People started to think that I was doing something. Even people that were close to me, even people that were coming in and out of home. And it's interesting too, how do we bridge that gap for people? Because I think that's one of the things we'd love to do. Obviously, being an example that this is possible is one way. But two, do we even, like, as you look at it in your own personal philosophy, do we need to even bridge the gap, or do we just bring it up for people that show up on our path?
I believe that I'm learning this. It was hard for me because I really wanted to change the world, and then I started to realize I need to change myself more and more. Well, I always knew that, but I think that we shouldn't infringe on anybody. And there's a subtlety, obviously, and there's many contexts in that. But I'm starting to believe in the world of spirit more and more. So who am I to say that this person begging on the street isn't the revolutionary path? Yeah. Who's to say that's even bad? See, and it's scary, and oh my gosh, but this person's struggling. And if they ask for help them. But who's to say that they're not here to experience that? I could be totally wrong, but who's to say that have you ever met somebody that didn't want to change? They just wanted to be a victim.
They love it.
And you, no matter what you said, it's like, no, they chose victim. That's what they're doing. So let them be victim. They need to learn that lesson. Yeah. So I'm starting to think of more in evolutionary paths rather than what's right and what's wrong. Because, and if people come to me, I help them.
Yeah.
If I get an inkling of purpose in a conversation, I subtly help them. You can communicate by pulling rather than pushing.
Yeah.
But I'm right now just owning myself, loving people, loving myself, and becoming stronger. And whoever comes across my path, I'm going to help them courageously and bravely, because then we made an agreement. I believe that God has brought us together. And so I serve, but I'm not out there handing out brochures, you know? And another idea is that I think that we need to be very selective with who we're actually around, one, and then who we're allowing to influence us. I believe in this idea of silent power. So in our retreats, what we can see this in two contexts. One context is that people start to express themselves so authentically that they say things that they never told anybody before. Just by the very fact of them expressing it out loud, they bring the darkness to light, and they dissipate the emotional attachment, the emotional charge, if you will. They already start going through a healing just by speaking of it out loud. Now, on the other context, when people have these goals, dreams, and visions, and knowledge, and inspirations, and they've been touched by God, they start telling everybody, and especially people that have no freaking idea, and just by the very act that of their ignorance, they're going to sort of not hold it sacred. It dissipates the charge, it dissipates the inspiration, it dissipates the energy. So I believe in silent power. I believe being very selective and mindful with how we speak and who we speak to, and then who we allow to influence us. I have cut out massive consumption. There was a time where I was obviously consuming a lot, but I'm very selective with who I choose to influence me. I will not allow any garbage inside of my mind. And if someone starts speaking garbage in a random conversation, I'm silent. Cool. Yeah. I walk away. I don't try to change them. I don't try to debate. I just walk away. That's it.
Smart to do.
I love them. I love them enough to let them be. You see? It's a different view of love, I say.
It's a funny one though, because I also believe that our bodies can guide us. I'll go on a trip, for instance. Say I want to catch up with you, Frank J. I'll give you a little insight how I bump into so many cool cats around the planet. I instruct my body every day to actually take me on the best adventures ever. Because I believe our heart and our bodies, when it gets in communion, has this beautiful intelligence and this ability for us to go on these adventures around the world on our magic carpets or whatever vehicle is our preference. And I've done it before where I'll go, Christy, is there an experience you'd like to have today? And she goes, well, I'd really like to meet a particular woman who happens to be she has a bit of a profile in Sydney. She hangs out with the likes of Richard Branson and really lovely people like that. And 40 minutes later, we after we say her name, we're with her and her whole team.
She's there.
It's like bing, showed up in the movie, showed up in the field. And it's an interesting one to contemplate that too, going, well, did the information come from asking, or did that create an infinite possibility? And I think it's a contemplation. Before you were talking about some of the things in the Bible or whatever, I look at the Bible as things where it says as king. Like asking for things or as the king. I'm always looking at language for the little clues.
As king.
As king.
As king. It's fascinating, man. For me, I just kind of...
Your reception's gone a little bit when you went inside.
Didn't know. Okay, a different line. Hello?
Yeah, I got you. It's just you're frozen a little bit. I got you.
Okay, cool. So what I was just going to say was that, in the past, I would really get curious about how this world worked and how the universe worked and everything. Now, I'm sort of like becoming less concerned with the intellectual process and just like with what works. Like case studies. And let me go out and let me see this because, this sounds really nice, cute, and fluffy. You know how many people have so much knowledge but have no power?
Yep.
They can tell you everything. They can tell you the whole freaking 9 yards of the scientific, the metaphysical. They can tell you everything. But then they go out in real life, they can't even put their pants on the right way.
Yep.
They have no power. They have no application of it. So I say, let's go out into the world and let's see what we're truly capable of. Let's go gain power, not just knowledge, but actual application. And that's it. Using it, feeling it, paying attention to the cues. Because the more you do, the more I see tends to come to you. That's kind of how I look at it.
I've looked at it this way too. I'm going to be so brilliant and so on point and so in my power and all my superpowers and all my paying attention that the scientists come study me rather than trying to figure out all the science behind it. My sister, and I love my sister. My sister's a doctor and a PhD, and then she's done another doctorate and another thesis. My IQ is higher than hers. This is what she says, and we've looked at it, for instance, and my intelligence is high in that normal world. And so I can do the maths and the physics and the chemistry and be a little bit clever at all that sort of stuff. And when she looked at it, she's like, well, why isn't he a doctor? Why isn't he a lawyer? Why isn't he doing all these different things in that box? But for me, I'm open to it. But to live in that power, to live in that truth, to actually not have to look for a theory, but actually just to go, I wonder if this works and apply it. And
it seems to be like the most human thing to do. Like, hey, does this work? Or does it not work?
No one does it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it may work for you and not somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
See, I like to think also that everybody, like, I can't say that everything that I just spoke of and every word that came out of my mouth, I believe it and I don't believe it.
Yep.
Okay. I know nothing and I know maybe a little something about something. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. All I know is that this is my genuine life experience and I've gotten results from this philosophy. That's all I know. But the thing is, other people have their own truth, their own life paths, their own skills, their own tendencies, their own gifts, their own inklings. So the person may be the guru, and then that's their destiny. That's their evolutionary path, to be the guru, right? And then there's also another person to be the critic that attacks the guru.
Yeah.
And that's their destiny. That's their life path. And in the spirit world, they're like brothers, and they're here just playing around, messing with each other. We got the fake guru, and then we got the obsessive scientific critic, and they're there fighting each other on the human plane. That's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, who's right? I don't know. I'm not right. Definitely not right. Everyone has their own idea, but we all can help each other. And what do we really want here? We want to have fun. We want to feel like we're in control of our lives. We want to believe in ourselves. We want to help other people. We want to transcend this human condition and enjoy the process. That's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, well, what works? Does this work for me? If it doesn't, I'm throwing it away. I'm not going to think twice about it. It's fun. I'm starting to come like this just no bullshit, even with myself, just as authentic as I can possibly be.
I've gotten more and more on point. Like always been like that to a degree, even if I contemplate what I was like as a kid. Because I've done these interviews before and gone, just recently I just seem to be winning all these competitions. But then when I looked at it when I was a kid, I used to win the competitions too. I go, lately I've been a bit of an entrepreneur, but when I look back and when I was a kid, my dad would return one trolley and get a quarter, and I would return 30 or 40 of them and get 30 or 40 quarters. It just made sense to me. When I would go to a parking ticket, you get a $10 discount. I would put 5 of them in and get the parking for free for $50. And my brain always worked a bit different, but somehow we try and limit that part of ourselves to fit in, and we go, it's bad and we're not allowed to do that, and you have to follow rules and engage and do all different things. And I don't know, I think with our personal philosophy or the rules we give ourselves gives us a different reality.
Oh, for sure. Now, this is my question. Are we actually accomplishing or are we returning? Are we accomplishing or are we actually returning?
Both.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's an interesting one.
It's interesting, man, because I see tendencies in my past as well. See, I think we all have tendencies. Now, you can use that tendency to its highest possibility, or you can, not pay attention to it and buy into someone else's dream. You can do that too.
I just look at that too, as you said, that accomplishing or returning, because I contemplated what we're talking about before with goal setting. I would hit my goals. I would set that intention. I would hit my goals. I'd get an investment property, the amount per month, all those different things. And I'd feel happy for about 10 seconds. And be like,
Likewise.
And then I went, well, that was what I got to, was I was literally putting my head on the pillow every night going, fuck, what is the purpose of this? There has to be more than this. If not, I'm not done. I'm not going to check out, but there has to be more than this. I wasn't wasn't suicidal per se, but I wasn't far off it. And it's just there, just going, well, I've got everything, like everything I know I can create of what the world tells me that's great, that'll make you happy, that'll make you successful. I can stand on stage with the world's best. And internally, I don't feel it. And then I met people at that chapter of my life that showed up, that all of a sudden they were just, as I contemplated that question, all of a sudden these different people showed up and they were present. They were paying attention. They were engaged in life. And that for me was just so much more interesting than the fulfillment of a 90-day goal. But what's interesting,
the goal seems just to be like a signpost, you know, and it's like it's really, it's corny and cliche, but it seems to me like the journey is really what's valued here.
Yeah, the signposts, the goals, the different things, the outside circumstances. But the more I let go and drop into that, and I've seen it with different friends too, they're looking younger, they're looking fresher, the wealth showing up. As they let go of control, more wealth showing up. But ultimately, the different thing too, like one of my friends, he had $30,000 borrowed from his backpack. He was on a trip.
What do you mean?
He had $30,000 in cash in Singapore in his backpack. And the way he describes it is someone grabbed his backpack. And he goes, in that moment, kind of like your metaphor, we're talking about the guru and the person antagonizing the guru. In that moment, he just looked at it and he goes, well, obviously they required the $30,000. It's all awesome. And he had to flick me a commission for something that we'd done together. And he goes, I'll have it to you in 2 weeks. Don't worry about it. And
I love it.
And that simplicity where, you know, the Taoist, the Wu Wei, effortless flow, the more we can tune into that, where it's not good luck or bad luck, it just is. And we keep on our path. Yeah.
The warrior's path. Amen, brother.
I'm feeling another quick question too, this one. You know, all of a sudden is, you know, the things that used to tweak you for 2 weeks, you know, those things you think about 5 or 10 years ago, those things you'd hold on to, like say all of a sudden, I remember like as a younger man, like a girlfriend cheated on me. It hurt. It hurt for a long time. Now it's like, if I hold on to those things my whole life, if I vibrated at a whole level, but those things tweak me, it's like my whole world would collapse if I held on to it. And I've had to learn how to flick things really quickly.
You have to.
So what
especially as an entrepreneur, like you have to move quick. Like you can't be, indecision is a disease, you know? It's like if you're tossing and turning your mind, it's a disease. That'll drain your energy quicker than anything. What was your question?
So next I want to look at daily habits. So we want to, like daily habits you're doing, you said 20% of your time's doing the tasks, 80% is contemplating. We did one of them before, but I want you to pick your top 5 that you're doing right now, not ones that have worked for you in the past or the future, but just things like cold shower might be one.
Cool. So my daily habits obviously upgrade, change, evolve. I also wanted to add a little thing too about what we were talking about accomplishing or returning. I feel like the more I evolve on this path and succeed, I feel like I'm returning home. I feel like it's been created a long time ago. And I'm just like watching it unfold, and it's not surprising. So that's something that as someone that's listening is that, hey, listen, you create this vision, this dream, and you believe it with your soul, then a success is inevitable. You know, it's just a matter of time. So
do you dream things? I want to ask you that on that too, because that's another one. As I spend time with the Indigenous elders, in Australia in particular, they talk about the dream time. And my experience in the last 5 years, when my heart knew to change direction, I went walkabout for 2 months, which meant in 60 days, I slept indoors about 2 nights out of 60. People were concerned for my welfare out in the middle of the desert. There's all kinds of
animals. That's beautiful, brother.
It was a special chapter of my life for sure.
Yeah.
And that thing is, often we don't allow ourselves to go walkabout. I know you've been walking about for a little bit right now in different countries on your own. And I'm also talking about the dream time, because I dream things. A lot of you guys, I've met you in my dreams before.
Yeah. Which fascinating. I really admire. I don't necessarily have many vivid. Sometimes I do, and they give me messages, but not many like what you're describing. But what you did bring up a good distinction that your listeners would appreciate is that, hey, go out for a walk under the moon. Go to a park in the pitch black, in pitch dark where you can't see anything, and walk boldly. Connect with yourself, to your senses. You know, over this fence, I jumped over this fence last night in the dark. Right? If you can see, this is a huge park with like an ancient ruin in the middle of it. Right. And I'm walking in the dark, you know, and I'm feeling the land, and there's animals running by, and I'm just like, you know, walking. And it's just, it connects you to a deeper part. So I would say, go out, pray to the sky, like get wild, use your body, get out of the, I kind of get sick by observing the idea of like people are watching TV in house with horrible air, eating plastic food, like literally like zombies. It's scary. I grew up like that. So to answer your question, one of the distinctions is, if I ever have an indecision, and it's either I do it or I don't do it. Does this feel right, or I do my best to resolve it now? If I can't resolve it now, then I don't even tolerate the thought, and like I can't tolerate it. If it comes in, no, I'm waiting and I'm listening to the sign. Or I'll sit there, or I'll go on a walk, and when I deliberately give time to think about that, because if it's playing in the background, it's draining mental energy. So it's either yes, no, and if it's a maybe, I don't tolerate me thinking about it unless there's a specific chunk of time where I'm thinking about it. And if I still don't find the decision, then I pull back. Don't tolerate it. I wait. I trust. I woo-wee, non-action. I wait. I watch. And the sign comes. And I've had a very clear distinction the other day about a decision where I was tossing and turning my mind. I stopped. I wait. I didn't tolerate it. And the sign came. Boom. And as soon as the sign came, boom, done. Simple. Next distinction, my habits right now, I like waking up at a certain time early in the morning. Right now I wake up at 5. It's not that early, but it's a discipline, you know. I wake up and I celebrate right when I wake up.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you, God. Yes, I'm eternal, immortal, universal, and infinite, and what I am has beauty and strength, and everything that comes into my path is for my highest evolution. I'm celebrating right when I wake up. And then I, you know, do my thing, but let's just say habits. So celebrate right when I wake up at a certain time. I take a cold shower for 1 to 3 minutes. So instead of like the cold shock, like I like sit in there for a little bit, which is exhilarating. It is nice. Nice. And I really mean that. I really love it. It sucks sometimes getting into it, but once you do, like, it's really nice.
That first so I take a cold hard, but then once you're in, it's the best thing ever. And if you can do that, you can do anything.
Yeah, that's right. And when I do it, I say I'm in complete control over my life. I take full responsibility. I empower. You know, boom, turn the shower on. Like, I'm affirming. So that's something I do right now. What else is a ritual? Yeah, I like to move, so I got to get an exercise in at least one day a week. I like, and whatever it is, doesn't matter. It can be a run, it can be some sort of exercise, and then ideally some sort of silent stillness meditation. So sitting in silence. When every so often, maybe every other week, I do a day of fasting. Silent fasting, internet fasting, and food fasting. So that tends to just repair my energy instantaneously.
Every second day, huh?
No, every other week. Every other week or every 3 weeks, depends. Depends. When I'm really out of whack, like my energy, and I can't seem to get back in, fast, boom, pull out quick. Most important is keeping balance, keeping coherent. To me it is. So I pull out real quick if I can't get back balance.
That's just something I'm paying attention to at the moment. I'll do it as well, where if I've got so much on where I'm starting to feel busy, I'll take 2 days, 48 hours, and I'll head out to nature and just nothing. No phone, no nothing. And it's the best ever. And then I come back crystal clear, just know exactly what's got to be done, and it just gets done. Always.
Yeah, nature is so loving, man. So beautiful. And
I love it all. So I'm gonna wrap it up because I gotta jam off and go and snuggle my woman. Super grateful.
Nice.
One of my favorite.
That is such a gift, man. That's such a gift.
She's awesome. So final thing I want to say. Well, I'm going to make sure I leave some details so people can contact you. I know you just had your new website. So I'm going to make sure I put that up. People can get a lot of value from what you're offering. Obviously, they've got a heap from tonight. And you've got retreats on around the world. You obviously work with people if they want to be facilitated. I'm assuming over Skype and Zoom or whatever form it happens to show up in. But what's the final thing you want to say? You got 60 seconds just to share with this beautiful crew of people. And if you've made it all the way to the end, celebrate yourself, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people, when I did that talk the other day, everyone's like, just do 30 minutes because people can't concentrate. Entrepreneurs, they don't have 30 minutes. I'm like, stuff I'm going to share with them, they're going to listen. They're going to listen for 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And I got on and I gave it my all. So for 60 seconds, I want you to give us your best, just for fun.
Okay. I'll do whatever. I'll speak whatever comes up.
Preach it, baby.
So I would say that you didn't come here to please anybody. And you may not know, and that's okay that you don't know. Your truth is deep within you, and every single individual, no matter who you are, where you are, what color skin, what religion you've been brought up in, you have a truth inside of you. Follow that inkling and be brave. Break away from the dogma of the tribe and find out who you are and where your path, your strongest and highest path lies. Mm-hmm. Okay? And follow that truth so boldly and surrender to your cosmic fate. And what I mean by that is go see what's really out there. Mm. And when you go out there, like in T.S. Eliot quotes, like, don't cease from exploring. And at the end of all exploring, you may just find yourself in the same place of where you started and knowing it for the first time. So you may find what you're looking for deep within you, brother and sister. And I honor you on the quest.
I love it, my man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your wisdom. And I'm so excited when we do get to catch up. It'll be magical, wherever it's in, Hawaii or Australia or Costa Rica or Europe, wherever we're going to be. I was a little bit bummed we didn't get to catch up in Europe when I was there. And yeah, I would have loved it then, but I know I'll see you soon. And yeah, like I said, appreciate your time.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Awesome conversation. Wish you the best of peace and love, man.
Yeah, man.
And I'll see you on the path, brother.
Oh, for sure. And all those gifts, love you, bro. I'm going to watch all those ones too. That heart meditation, that's like, cool. That gave me the goosebumps. That's one that's going in my day today now. So I'll be
beautiful
feeling your heart every day now for sure.
Hey, man, this is passing it forward. We're all connected and raising to the next level together. I honor you and I honor your quest. We'll speak soon, brother.
Boom.